Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. This is the January fundraising video, and I'm going to jump right in and start with year-end numbers because I know everyone is interested in how that went. I am happy to report that we did better than I expected for our overall income. We're still working on making sure all the donations are in, and we're matching up with the finance team. So I'll have those actual numbers at the March meeting. But as of today, we brought in just over $360,000 for the campaign. Our goal was $350,000. So I'm really pleased with that. This was a nice increase over the year before when our income was just over 305,000. I should expand on that and say that I wasn't very optimistic about hitting our overall goal due to a number of different factors. But again, I was very pleasantly surprised. The first reason really had to do with staffing, with Molly being out on maternity leave and having a change in our major donor director at what's a very pivotal point for us in the year. I just wasn't sure how that would affect income from major donors. And then Gabriella was so new, she didn't yet have the relationship to do those individual year-end asks for our major donors with our major donors. So they had to be included as part of the outreach that I did at year end. Overall, the response was great. We only had a few less donations. A couple of them were matching gifts, so we could still expect those to come in this month. And two of them were combined into one gift. So very nice. You'll also notice that the totals were higher and we had less first-time donors. This is a positive trend for us. It means that we're retaining donors and increasing the average donation size, which is super positive, obviously, because we need to lessen our dependence on new donors in this category. And as we continue to grow our major giving program, it's really necessary for us to work on retention, to see not just the retention numbers go up, but the actual gift sizes go up as well. So positive trend here. As for the smaller donors, we had a lot less donations this year and a whole lot less new donors in this category. To be fair, half of them, or maybe about 2/3 of them last year, were from a company campaign with Scott's Miracle-Gro. And because that was a very specific and dedicated campaign, only a few of those donors gave a second gift, which we expected. So we did bring in a lot less from smaller donors. Now, this increase in giving and income from smaller donors is the other reason why I wasn't particularly optimistic, but I was very happy to be proven wrong in meeting our overall goal. And there's a lot of really interesting and insightful information that came out of the campaign. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what the analytics told me. Both these trends, that seeing an increase in major donors and less donations from smaller donors, it's really on track with industry and sector trends. The sector on a whole is experiencing this issue of giving. I've shared before that giving from individuals is down, and that the only area of income from individuals that was up is from or through planned giving. And in fact, I read a report in Giving USA that individual giving was down 2.1%. And the number of donors who gave $100 or less dropped by 10.4% over the previous year. Historically, individual donations, and especially these smaller donors, have been our bread and butter. So we're definitely now feeling and seeing the effects of this. And in fact, over the last 2 years, we're down by over 200 monthly donors, most, if not all of who fall into that category of $100 or less. So at this point, we have a little bit more information on why that's happening, and so that's really helpful as we move forward in creating a plan. We are also learning that the sector as a whole hasn't fully recovered from the pandemic, and that there are less people giving as a result. And another reason for the trend in the less smaller donors is specifically due to that 2018 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which you'll remember raised the standard deduction. And then this means that less people are now going to be itemizing and using that charitable tax deduction. Now, this tax law is expiring, but the expectation is that there'll be a replacement, and people just aren't sure what that's going to look like. And in fact, last month, a donor reached out, and in the course of our conversation, so they wanted to end their monthly donation. And in the course of that conversation, they shared with me, and I'm gonna quote what the donor said. I am expecting the Republicans to cut my Social Security and health care. So I need to just do the basics. Hope to pick up this donation in the future. People just aren't sure of what to expect. And so they think the combination of the tax law and that sort of uncertainty is sort of like having people sort of like tighten up a little bit. So that decline in monthly donors, in our small donors overall, really, it really is affecting our bottom line there with the smaller donors. And then there's the other side of the coin with increased giving through donor advised funds. We've seen an increase in giving through DAFs to NDBN. Unfortunately, a lot of these gifts are coming in anonymous. So we're doing what we can to match these DAF accounts to donors in our system. And we're reaching out to the organization housing these funds to try and identify the donors that are, or the matching donor there. Without that, we really can't do any stewardship activities, and we run the risk of losing these donors over time. So we're absolutely making this a priority. There's also some discussion about donor advised funds being addressed in the this new version of the tax law that's expected to come. So I'm keeping an eye on that and just being ready to tailor our activities or stewardships to whatever comes with that. So at the March meeting, hopefully I'll have more information to share on what that looks like. And as you all know, our planned giving program is in the works. Which brings us to our income update for the fiscal year. We're averaging about 48% of our total income goal for this fiscal year. Through the end of the second quarter, we've brought in about 44% of our goal from individuals, just around 63% from grants, and around 38% from corporate partnerships. Now, unfortunately, this is well behind where we should be for this time of year. We should be actually somewhere in the area of 60 to 65%. And while we did really well in the second quarter, the first quarter just did not perform as well as last year. The first fiscal quarter for us is historically slow, but that combined with the trends that I mentioned is really, it just has us trailing far behind this year. So we are putting in, we do have a plan to address this, and and we're hoping to make up some of that ground fairly soon. The way that we're going to do that, and with that, I am very excited to welcome back some of our staff. So most, if not all of you, have heard from Gabriella Franklin introducing herself. So Gabriella is our new Director of Major Giving, and she joined us in early December. I'm really, really very excited about the experience that she brings to the team. And she's already jumped right in and had some really productive donor meetings and interactions. And happy to have Molly Boyd coming back from maternity leave in early February. For those of you who haven't met her, Molly is our Director of Corporate Relations, and she's working to continue building on and creating new partnerships and increasing income from corporate sponsors. As I mentioned, there are several new initiatives that we're working on this year to increase income, improve retention, and eventually acquire new donors. But one of the most direct is a campaign around Funds for Change. As one of our strongest programs, and being able to show direct impact over a very specific period of time, it makes sense to fundraise around this. So I'm looking forward to giving you more information about that at the March meeting. And I'll share about some of the other initiatives that we're putting in place. In the meantime, one of the ways that you can help with fundraising is to share referrals and make introductions to your network. Your involvement really can be as minimal as you'd like or as involved as you'd like. We'll walk you through either end. We'd be happy to just get an introduction and go from there. Please also keep in mind that if you have any corporate connections, there are multiple ways that we partner with organizations. So we'd love to have some sort of introduction there. As always, thank you all very much. Appreciate your ongoing support and 100% board giving. And so happy New Year.